So yeah, we got back to work this week, and I had a pile of work to get to, related to forums and spam and
The Crimson Queen.
The Crimson
The
Queen.
Crimson Queen.
The Crimson Queen.
Who is she?
Who is the Crimson
Who is she?
Queen?
Crimson Queen.
Who is she? In a groundbreaking revelation, the Laurelin Observer has obtained exclusive information concerning the events that transpired on January 1st, 2024. This pertains to a sensitive matter involving the unauthorized dissemination of private content associated with Crimson Queen. In an in-depth interview, we uncover the facts and motivations driving the forum episode, revealing unprecedented and shocking details.
Disclaimer, the following narrative has been crafted by the Laurelin Observer for documentary purposes. The information presented is based on secondhand intel gathered from Crimson crime sources and a series of interviews with individuals closely associated with the events. It is important to note that this narrative is a dramatized account and may not represent the complete or entirely accurate depiction of the events in question. Viewer discretion is advised, and the audience is encouraged to exercise critical judgment when interpreting the content. The Laurelin Observer assumes no responsibility for the accuracy or completeness of the information provided and cannot be held liable for any consequences arising from the use of this narrative.
I used to be a regular player, log on, greet my friends, questcraft. But one day things changed. I changed. I look back on it now, and I think I can see where things may have gone too far. But there's a part of me that will always look at the anniversary festival as the moment where I had to decide if I was going to be the monster I always knew I could become. April 20th, 2022. 3 p.m. server time in the Brie Festival fields. I, a long-time player, geared up for the presence of the one and only Jerry Snook. Yet in the throes of excitement, little did I anticipate what would become of my impending descent into madness. Little did I know that the elation I had embodied for the upcoming event would become victim to the brutal apathy of he whose attention I craved most of all. Let me show you what I mean.
the Locher team perhaps decide to join in this effort someday, or
Did you catch that? I'll play it again.
perhaps decide to join in this effort someday, or
It's like he was looking right through me. I had waited days, even months only, for him to walk by me like I was nothing. Like I was filth, rubbish on the street, discarded, loathed. Not a smile, not a nod, or a wave. I was invisible to him, and that broke me. It made me snap. Victim to his disregard, beaten into the shadow by the brute force of such cruelty, the desire for revenge began to swell in me like a phoenix born of my blood, breaking through the pulsing veins that lined my now broken heart. How could he? Why would he? The rejection from Cordovan birthed an obsession, a malevolent force that gripped my every thought. The festering desire for revenge burgeoned, turning joy into a twisted dance with insanity. The bitter rejection, the festering wound of humiliation began to cannibalize the spaces that once nursed the logical impulses of my mind. In strokes of a brutish brood parasitism, I found every reasonable thought dissolved in favor of the chanting heartbeat of revenge. At the grand spectacle of the anniversary event, I lurked in the shadows, invisible and scorned. Cord's arrogance dismissed me like a whisper. But little did he know, the seed of malevolence had taken root, and I, the harbinger of his demise, nurtured it meticulously. In place of all that was good and patient, human, sprouted a dark and evil creature. Her name, the Crimson Queen. She would be the vessel of attack, the barrel of my gun, the lead of my bullet. She would be the chosen one who would rise, soaked in the blood of her scorned master, marking her enemy with a shade that would bear the hand of revenge. But I knew the road to her infamy would be long and winding. Before I could weaponize the Crimson Queen against Cord, I had to navigate the treacherous waters and understand the depths of her power. Testing the forums required a subtler approach. I needed a different kind of creature who would help me get to know my enemy first. So I birthed Ebo, a vile force to gauge the forum's vulnerabilities. The Crimson Queen, dormant for now, awaited her turn to unleash a malevolence that would be Kord's ultimate downfall. The journey had just begun, and in the shadows, the seeds of destruction were sown, paving the way for the impending reign of darkness. In a twisted stratagem, Ebo cunningly proposed to the developers that they abandon the pursuit of progress, forgoing expansions and gameplay in favor of a bizarre focus on catering to the casual players, specifically removing the jars from the broker's office for RP immersion. This sinister maneuver aimed to expose the weakness of my adversary, Kord. As the digital realm quivered with the echoes of my malevolent suggestion, Scenario, the unsuspecting victim, took the bait in a measured manner.
What would you do if okay, so he said yes, would go?
Kord, on the other hand, well, he had a lot to say to Ebo. He descended into heated arguments, unknowingly ensnared in my web. And how did I, Ebo, an untouchable boomer, respond? In true boomer fashion, I dismissed his comments without a glance, spiraling into irrational tangents. I cared not for meaningful critiques against the game that would ultimately enable genuine change in development and strategy. No, I reveled in the chaos. I wanted the jars gone, and I would not stand down. The best part? I won, and it was Kord who found himself floundering. At that moment, I knew for certain that if I were to make this game bend to my will, it was the boomer facade that would grant me the success I desired. The boomer to whom the game kneels in prayer, the boomer to whom they cater their irrational development strategies, the boomer who hinders the possibility of genuine critique that could take this game from a good one to a great one. The boomer I was born to be. What I did not anticipate, however, was the extent to which my own role in the complex development of Ebo would take me. I had spent months playing on Ebo. I had spent countless hours convincing the people of Laurelin that I was a real person, role-playing, running instances, running events, and telling tall tales of my complicated life with my wife and 2 children. I was a person, to them and me. How could I leave after all that? People would ask questions, and I could not have that happen. At this point, I knew I only had one option left. I had to kill Ebo. It did not take much. We like to imagine death as some grand show. I suppose to make ourselves feel better about not taking advantage of all it has to offer, wasting our golden years staring at a screen, attempting to police and argue with people we have never met and will never meet. But the truth is, life will slip away from us when we least expect it. I noticed a story in the paper one day. A couple with 2 children died in a tragic accident on a bridge. In that moment, inspiration hit, and without a thought, I did it, announcing the passing of Ebo. I posted it and never logged on again. After all, I had bigger fish to fry. Knowing my enemy's weak points, it was time to rise. Crimson would become a menace on every Discord server, in every forum thread, and within every comment. She would do as she wished, pursue whatever irrational logic she desired, and no one could do anything about it. I was untouchable. There is no evil greater than the asinine boomer logic, and I would use it to my advantage in every way until I became so intolerable that the community would give up and accept me. And that's exactly what happened. No one dared question the Crimson Queen. Though those on the lower IQ spectrum believed me to be an idiotic half-wit, not worth naming, though to his friends they knew him as the moron obsessed with echoes of Angmar, I knew who I was, a mastermind above and beyond the skills and capabilities of all others. I was a queen. I stayed under the radar long enough, posting one ridiculous comment after another from October 2023 to December. However, it was in January that I would truly earn my crown, for I knew that just as I lost years to the madness that Kord induced, he would lose the start of his from the disgust I would initiate. January 1st, 2024. Away from my family, friends and partner, I locked myself in my room, awaiting the taste of the sweet nectar that is revenge. Months before, I had compiled a folder of images, both AI-generated and scouted, that I would use to affirm Crimson in reality. Some of the photos were of her, others of her autistic son Matthew and his husband. There were also photos of her baking and cooking, as well as various events she had attended throughout her life, her wedding, her mother's funeral, and her son's graduation, to name a few. Just like Ebo, she was a person. She was real. In fact, she was so real that I had also gone out of my way to acquire a number of her intimate photos, taken, of course, from the 50th odd page of Pornhub. When I saw that clock strike midnight, I knew it was my time. Cord, having ignored me at first, would now be forced to look at me. They would all look at me, notice me, and see me. No longer would I be a creature of darkness and shadow. I would be on the front page for everyone to see. In the months prior, I had also crafted an intricate relationship with another boomer of my making, Robert J. Kowalski, a Fisher and Clint Eastwood fan from Oregon. Crimson, also known as Rachel, would fall for his charms, and like the fool she is, post her lewd and intimate photos, otherwise meant for Robert on the front page of the forums. He would do the same. A classic boomer move, just stupid enough for it to be believable. Well, there it is. That's how I did it. The show was a triumph of abhorrence, a testament to the darkness within my tormented soul. Amidst the echoes of despair, I stood in the shadows, a puppet master reveling in the insane chaos I had wrought. The start of SSG's year would be etched in psychotic infamy, a cautionary tale for those who dared ignore the festering embers of my resentment. But I wasn't done there. I had to deal with the collateral damage. I took to various discords, pleading for members to help me remove the images. When they cowered at what I had posted, I fell to my proverbial knees, posting my password for anyone who wishes to go onto my account to aid me in the erasure of my intimates. It was this crescendo that cemented the events in the cultural memory of the community. An overweight, lowly woman, otherwise polite and kind to all, begging for someone to remove her nudes from the front page of the Lotro forums. I would go down in history, the name of Crimson Queen becoming a story they'd pass on to their children. And Cord, ripped away from his, would never forget the day he had to stare into the literal belly of the beast.